Episode 10: The Southeast Asian Economy Before the Europeans Arrived. In our previous episodes, we have marveled at magnificent architectural wonders, followed fateful battles, and witnessed the rise and fall of powerful empires. But a fundamental question remains. What created the extraordinary wealth needed to build Angkor Wat? What power sustained the massive armies of Majapahit or Dai Viet? Where did the resources come from to transform Malacca from a fishing village into the commercial center of the world? The answer lies in the economy. Before the sails of European ships appeared on the horizon, Southeast Asia was already one of the most dynamic and prosperous economic regions in the world. It was a world built on two great pillars, the fertile rice fields and the bustling maritime trade routes. Welcome back to the History of Southeast Asia series. In Episode 10, we will temporarily set aside the stories of kings and battles to explore the very backbone of the empires, the region's economy before the dawn of the colonial era. Part 1: The Foundation of Life, Rice and the Agrarian Society. To understand ancient Southeast Asia, one must first understand rice. For 99% of the region's population, from the farmers in the Red River Delta and the Irrawaddy Plains to the cultivators on the terraced fields of Java, rice was not just food. It was the rhythm of life, the foundation of culture, and the source of all power. Southeast Asian society was an agrarian society, and its heart was the technique of wet rice cultivation. Village communities were formed and bound together by the common need to build and maintain complex irrigation systems, dikes, canals, and reservoirs. The colossal hydraulic works, the berets, of Angkor are the grandest expression of this model. The success of wet rice cultivation created an enormous food surplus. It was this surplus that liberated a portion of the population from farm labor, allowing them to become artisans, monks, soldiers, and officials. The rice paid as taxes by the peasants fed the entire cumbersome state apparatus, from the king, the royal family, and the court to the army. Rice was also the resource used to mobilize tens of thousands of laborers to build the magnificent temples like Borobudur or Prambanan. The king, as the supreme owner of the land and the protector of the irrigation works, held absolute power. The power of the greatest empires of Southeast Asia was, fundamentally, built upon grains of rice. The lives of the vast majority of people followed the cycle of the seasons, the season of planting and the season of harvest. The most important festivals were also agricultural festivals, to pray for favorable rains and a bountiful harvest. Therefore, no matter how bustling the seaports became, the roots of Southeast Asian civilization always lay deep within the rice paddies. Part 2: Crossroads of the World, the Maritime Trade Network. If rice was the heart of the economy on land, then trade was the lifeblood that flowed through the oceans. Geography had destined Southeast Asia for a special role, to be the crossroads between the two greatest civilizations of the time, China and India, and beyond them, the Islamic world and the Mediterranean. The entire maritime trade between Europe and Asia had to pass through the region's straits, especially the Strait of Malacca and the Sunda Strait. The monsoon winds dictated the rhythm of this trade. Merchants would follow the northeast monsoon to travel from China and India to Southeast Asia, and then wait for the southwest monsoon to return home. During this waiting period, the port cities of Southeast Asia became bustling centers of transit, storage, and commerce, known as emporia. Malacca in the 15th century is the most classic example. It was a true international city. Foreign merchant communities, Gujaratis and Bengalis from India, Persians, Arabs, Chinese, Javanese, Burmese, all had their own neighborhoods and were managed by harbor masters, shibanders. The success of a port city depended on many factors: a strategic location, a good harbor, political stability, and most importantly, a system of fair laws and reasonable tariffs to attract merchants. Alongside this international trade network was a dense system of intra-regional trade. Products from remote islands were collected by local traders, like the Bugis or the Orang Lot, and brought to the major ports. From there, the goods were transferred to larger ships for the international market. This trade network not only brought material wealth, but was also the conduit through which ideas, religions, technologies, and cultures spread, creating a diverse and interconnected Southeast Asian world. Part 3: Treasures of the East, the precious products that changed the world. What was it that made merchants from all over the world brave the dangers to sail to Southeast Asia? The answer lies in the unique and precious products that only this land possessed. Spices, the gold of antiquity. This was the most important and valuable commodity. The Maluku Islands, the Moluccas, in eastern Indonesia were the only place in the world where cloves and nutmeg grew. These spices were not just for cooking. They were used as medicines, perfumes, and preservatives, and were worth their weight in gold in Europe. Pepper, a more common spice grown extensively in Sumatra and Java, was also a major export. It was the quest for these spices that became the primary driver for the later European voyages of discovery. Gold and tin. Sumatra had long been known as the Golden Island, Suvarnadvipa. Its gold mines were an important source for India and other places. The Malay Peninsula, in turn, was famous for its vast reserves of tin, a metal essential for producing bronze. Products of the deep forest. The vast tropical rainforests of Borneo and Sumatra provided countless other rare products. Aloes wood, gaharu, a fragrant resinous wood formed when a tree becomes infected, was extremely valuable. Camphor, various resins for varnish and glue, beeswax, and exotic animal products like rhinoceros horns, ivory, and rare bird feathers were also highly sought after. In exchange for these treasures, Southeast Asia imported other products. Textiles from India, fine cotton fabrics from Gujarat, and the Coromandel coast were the most important import, popular throughout the region. Porcelain and silk from China. Blue and white porcelain and high-quality silks from China were always symbols of luxury and were coveted goods among the aristocracy. This two-way trade relationship created a prosperous economic cycle that enriched the kingdoms of the region for centuries. Part 4. Kings, Merchants, and Pirates, the structure of the economy. How was this prosperous economy operated and controlled? This was not a free market economy in the modern sense. Economic power was concentrated primarily in the hands of the ruling class. The king and the royal family were often the biggest merchants themselves. They owned fleets of trading ships, invested in voyages, and controlled the production of high-value goods. All trade activities in the ports were taxed. Tariffs were the main source of income for maritime kingdoms like Malacca or Srivijaya, allowing them to maintain their fleets and state apparatus. The king had the power to grant or deny licenses to merchants and often gave commercial privileges to his favorites. In the port cities, society was very diverse. Alongside the ruling class were officials, wealthy foreign merchant communities living in their own quarters, and a large class of artisans, dock workers, and small-scale local traders. However, life at sea also had its dark side, piracy. In reality, the line between a merchant, a sailor in the Royal Navy, and a pirate was often very thin. The same ships and the same crews could be honest traders when arriving at a well-protected port, but could turn into pirates when encountering a weaker ship on the open sea. Rulers often used groups of sea people, orang lot, as both a naval force to protect their own routes and as pirates to attack their competitors. Piracy was not a marginal phenomenon. It was an integral part of the maritime political-economic structure of the time. It was into this dynamic, complex, prosperous, yet dangerous economic world that the first European ships appeared, bringing with them new ambitions and a military power that would change the game forever. The economy of Southeast Asia before the European era was a sophisticated and prosperous system, built on the foundation of rice and driven by global trade. The wealth from spices, gold, and other precious goods created glorious empires. But it was this very wealth that also turned the region into a magnet, attracting powerful forces from the outside. In the next episode, we will witness the fateful confrontation, the clash between the world of Southeast Asia and the conquerors from Europe, beginning with the Portuguese attack on Malacca. History has so many more stories to tell. To make sure you don't miss a single one, take action now. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell. Join us as we uncover the hidden corners of the past. See you next time.